Good morning, my brothers in arms, Elite Football League family. This is Coach Dub coming to you live from beautiful College Station, Texas, with your 12th Man podcast for week 1. This episode of your 12th Man podcast is brought to you proudly by Aggie Land Outfitters. Since opening their first retail location in 1992, Aggie Land Outfitters has taken great pride in providing unique, high-quality Aggie apparel and gifts for our Aggie family. What is today's Aggie Land Outfitters all started with the young Aggie struggle to support himself in the late 1980s on the Texas A&M campus. Aggie Land Outfitters for all your Texas A&M apparel needs. Gig 'em. All right, we're going to take a look at our top 25 from week 0. Ohio State blows out Northern Illinois 63-7. Notable stats from the game: 696 yards of total offense for the Buckeyes. They had 223 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. They also added 474 passing yards through the air and 6 passing touchdowns. Quarterback for Ohio State went 23 of 28 for 82%. He had 379 yards and 5 touchdowns. The backup draft came in and did just as well, going 6 for 10 for 60%, 95 yards and a touchdown of his own. On the ground, the big day for Rocco Franco, who had 18 carries for 193 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, averaging 10.7 yards a carry. He had 2 20-plus yard runs on the day. Big game for D.Z. Jones, who had 8 receptions, 130 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. We're going to look real quick at their defensive stars on the day. Defensive star on the day, leading the team in tackling, was Lloyd Vick, the linebacker. He had 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Also having the game was Pettyjohn, who had 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 5 tackles on the day. He also had a pass deflection at the line. Good game for Ohio State, jumping out the gates. It wasn't a great opponent, but a good way for them to start their season. Now let's look down. Number 11, Texas taking on Louisiana Tech. Texas, in a somewhat close one, wins the game 35-17. Texas put up 458 yards of total offense, 132 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown, and they added 326 passing yards through the air for 3 touchdowns. Let's take a look at it, breakdown. It was 7-3 at the half. Texas jumped out 21-3 after the third quarter, but Louisiana Tech tried to make it close in the end, but they had no doubt that the Longhorns were going to walk away with the win on this one. Taking a look at some stats from the game. For Texas, quarterback Oscar Fonseca went 13 of 20 for 65%, to 149 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, but he threw 1 interception. The backup, or the starter maybe, came in. I'm not sure which one their starter is, but Roseman went 7 of 13 for 53%, 77 yards, and 1 interception. 2 interceptions. The only reason even Louisiana Tech even had a breathing opportunity in that game to try to come back to life, but Texas shut them down in the 4th. Christian Clark, 15 carries, 134 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had 2 20-plus yard games, and he had 8.9 yards on average on carry. Your receiving man on the day was Dalen McCutcheon. He had 4 receptions, 140 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Jumping over defensively, leading tackler on the day was cornerback Wardell Mack, who had 10 tackles. Sack leader on the day was January. The defensive tackle, he had 2 sacks. And Cade Phillips, the cornerback, added an interception on the day for the Longhorns. Now we jump down to the game we've already covered. Number 1, Miami versus number 5, USC. But we'll recap the score. USC at home takes that one 28-23 in a nail-biter over the visiting Canes. We already been over Notre Dame, but Notre Dame shatters. So anyways, like we were saying, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, shatter any hopes maybe had of having a good football season this season as they put them down 63-17 and sink the midshipmen. Looking down, we've already covered the Ole Miss score. Ole Miss blasts South Alabama 69-10. Wasn't even close. Now we jump down. Florida has an FCS school. They win it 70-14 in walk-off style. Florida, like I told you, is going to be crazy. He put up 990 yards of total offense, 326 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns, and he had 664 passing yards through the air. Let's jump in here and look at some stats real quick for him. Brandon Holacek went 17 of 22 for 77%. He had 562 passing yards and 7 passing touchdowns. Then we jump down to the backup, Deshaun Bredesen. He went 4 of 5 for 80%, 102 yards. We jump over to the rushing. Cameron Williams, like I told you, is going to have a big season. He had 16 carries, 114 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And Bredesen behind him, the quarterback, also had 9 carries for 112 rushing yards and a touchdown. Looking at receiving, big day on the day for Rashad Tabor. He had 9 receptions, 205 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns while averaging 22.8 yards a reception. Now we're going to jump over and defensively. The leading tackler on the team is going to be Jaden Woods, the defensive end. He had 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and a sack on the day. Jump down, defensive tackle Marquestin Moncrief also had a big day with 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Last game to break down is going to be Penn State versus Syracuse at Syracuse. The Cuse tried to put up a fight, but they couldn't put up one at all as Penn State crushes their hopes too, 31-7. Let's jump in there and look at some of their stats on the day. Penn State put up 376 yards of total offense, 151 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and added 225 passing yards on the day. Looking at the Penn State quarterback, he went 18 of 23 for 78% for 195 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Butte came in and went 2 for 4 for 50% and 30 yards. Rushing on the day, your leading rusher is going to be Bryce Baker, the quarterback, who had 5 carries for 57 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Martin Jr. came in with 6 carries, 48 yards, and no touchdowns, while Khaled came in with 11 carries, 48 yards, and 1 touchdown. And that was one of your Heisman hopefuls on the season. Receiving on the day, Julian McFadden led the day with 7 receptions, 71 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Defensively, for Penn State, the leading tackler, Kari Jackson, the linebacker, senior, 8 tackles. Good day for him. Leading the team in sacks on the day was Jalen Harvey and Josh Gentry with 1 apiece. That's our breakdown for Penn State. Great job in week 0. Let's take a look at week 1. Starting in the ACC, Georgia has FCS Midwest. Ole Miss has their FCS team. Georgia Tech has Arkansas State. I heard the line on that one was -7. We have it at -3.5. Pittsburgh has East Carolina at home. And I heard that game is about a -14, or is it -14.5? It's going to be -17.5 on Pittsburgh. Coming down to Florida State, they got the FC school. Their point spread on that one I'm hearing is -38. Tennessee with FCS West, and I'm hearing theirs is -42.5. Clemson has Troy at home. Arizona State has their FCS school at home, and I'm hearing the line on that one is -27.5. We jump over to the Big 12. Number 13, Texas A&M at Louisville. Number 4, Alabama at Oklahoma State. Washington has the FCS school. Penn State has their FCS school. UCLA is at California. Biggest game right now that we can see on the list, number 8, Notre Dame, and number 15, Michigan. At the Big House. That should be a good one, and USC has their FCS school. And let's take a look at that right now. We're taking a look at it. USC, who just beat Miami, is still sitting at number 5, not getting any love in the polls this week. Now we jump over to the SEC. You got number 9, Oklahoma, and number 16, UCF. That's going to be a tail of the tape. We're going to figure that one out as it happens. LSU has their FCS team, and Texas has Kentucky at home. That's your breakdown of the games for this week. Your game of the week is going to be number 8, Notre Dame, at number 15, Michigan. Take a quick look at some other things real quick. Top 25, because we see that USC's getting no love. Number 1, Miami is still number 1 after losing last week to USC. No change in the polls, folks. No change in the polls after week 0. And your Heisman watch also remains the same. All right, folks, this has been your 12 Men Podcast. This is Coach Dub. Until next time, signing off.